The Sound Shooter: How One Sniper Created Vietnam's Underground Telegraph. Welcome back to Hidden Vietnam History, where we uncover the most extraordinary stories of innovation and communication from the Vietnam conflict. Tonight, we're exploring one of the most ingenious military communication stories ever documented. A male marksman who developed a revolutionary tunnel-based message system using ricochet shots and acoustic signals, enabling communications across enemy territory while coordinating resistance activities through innovative shooting techniques. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button for more incredible stories of snipers who found innovative solutions to impossible challenges. Like this video if you want to discover how Phan Thi Minh transformed precision marksmanship into a communication system that connected isolated villages and resistance units across hundreds of kilometers of enemy-controlled territory, proving that the greatest innovations emerge from the most desperate circumstances. And let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love connecting with our global community of precision warfare historians. Now prepare yourself for the most creative military innovation story you'll ever hear, because tonight we're meeting Phan Thi Minh, the Sound Shooter, whose mastery of acoustic ballistics created an underground communication network that kept the resistance connected when all conventional communication had been severed. Chapter 1: The Silent Village. Phan Thi Minh was born in 1944 in the village of Dong Ha, located near the DMZ, where constant military operations had severed all normal communication lines, leaving rural communities completely isolated from each other and unable to coordinate resistance activities against increasing enemy pressure. His father, Phan Van Duc, was a traditional blacksmith who understood sound and acoustics through metalworking, while his grandfather had been a cave explorer who knew how sound traveled through underground passages and tunnel systems that connected villages throughout the region. Minh's childhood was spent learning traditional communication methods that Vietnamese villages had used for centuries, including drum signals, smoke patterns, and acoustic techniques that could carry messages across distances where visual contact was impossible due to terrain or enemy presence. By age 18, Minh had developed exceptional hearing abilities that allowed him to identify sounds and determine their origins with precision that exceeded what normal training could accomplish, while his understanding of traditional acoustics provided foundation for innovations that would prove crucial. When American operations intensified in the DMZ region, conventional communication became impossible as radio transmissions were intercepted, messengers were captured, and visible signals attracted enemy attention that resulted in artillery bombardments and airstrikes against suspected communication sites. Minh's village found itself completely cut off from neighboring communities and resistance headquarters, while information about enemy movements and tactical plans became unavailable, creating dangerous isolation that prevented coordination of defensive measures and mutual support. His recruitment into sniper training was motivated by the need to establish some form of communication with other villages, while his exceptional hearing and understanding of acoustics suggested potential for developing innovative solutions to communication challenges that exceeded conventional methods. Chapter 2: The Acoustic Innovation. During his sniper training, Minh discovered that rifle shots could create acoustic patterns that carried specific information when fired into tunnel systems and cave networks that connected underground throughout the DMZ region. His innovation began when he noticed that ricochet shots in underground passages created distinctive sound patterns that could be heard at great distances, while the acoustic signature changed depending on bullet velocity, impact angle, and tunnel configuration. Minh developed systematic techniques for creating controlled ricochet shots that produced specific acoustic patterns, while the sound signatures could be distinguished from random gunfire through timing, rhythm, and tonal characteristics that carried coded information. His acoustic communication system utilized natural and artificial tunnel networks that existed throughout the DMZ region, while underground passages amplified and directed sound waves that could travel distances exceeding what surface communication could accomplish. Ming's Ricochet technique included mathematical calculations for bullet trajectories and impact angles that would produce optimal acoustic results while maintaining operational security that prevented enemy forces from understanding the communication system's purpose. His early experiments proved that coded messages could be transmitted through controlled ricochet patterns, while recipients who understood the acoustic code could receive detailed information about enemy movements, tactical plans, and resistance coordination requirements. The innovation represented revolutionary advancement in military communication that utilized precision marksmanship to create acoustic signals, while underground networks provided secure transmission pathways that enemy forces couldn't intercept or locate. Chapter 3. The Code Development. Min developed a comprehensive acoustic code system that could transmit complex tactical information through ricochet shot patterns, while recipients located in distant tunnel networks could interpret the coded messages and relay information to their local resistance units. His code system utilized variations in shot timing, acoustic intensity, and tonal patterns that could represent specific letters, numbers, and tactical concepts, while maintaining simplicity that allowed rapid transmission and accurate interpretation by personnel with limited acoustic training. Min's code included standardized patterns for common tactical information, including enemy troop movements, patrol schedules, supply operations, and planned military actions, while specialized codes could transmit complex strategic information that required detailed coordination between resistance units. The acoustic communication system included verification procedures that could confirm message accuracy, while error correction techniques ensured that critical information was transmitted correctly despite environmental interference and acoustic distortion in underground passages. Min developed training procedures that could teach the acoustic code to resistance personnel while maintaining operational security that prevented enemy forces from understanding the communication system even if they detected unusual ricochet patterns. His code system included emergency signals that could provide immediate warning about enemy operations, while standard communication procedures enabled routine information exchange that kept resistance units informed about tactical situations throughout their operational areas. The code development established protocols for network expansion that could incorporate additional tunnel systems and communication nodes while maintaining security and operational effectiveness that exceeded what conventional communication methods could provide under combat conditions. Chapter 4. The network expansion. Min's acoustic communication system expanded rapidly as resistance units throughout the DMZ region learned his techniques, while establishing communication nodes that could relay messages across hundreds of kilometers of enemy-controlled territory. The network expansion included training programs that taught local snipers and marksmen to use ricochet techniques for acoustic communication, while Min's system provided secure information exchange that exceeded what conventional radio communication could accomplish. Min established primary communication nodes at strategic tunnel locations that could relay messages between distant areas, while the network's redundancy ensured that information could reach its destination despite enemy interference or temporary node disruption. His network included specialized operators who became expert in acoustic code interpretation, while their training enabled rapid message processing that could provide real-time tactical information to resistance units operating throughout the region. The expanded network demonstrated operational effectiveness that exceeded conventional communication systems while providing security advantages that made enemy interception virtually impossible through acoustic transmission methods that couldn't be monitored by conventional intelligence. Min's network coordination included systematic scheduling that could manage multiple simultaneous message transmissions while preventing acoustic interference that might distort communication accuracy or reveal transmission patterns to enemy forces. The network expansion achieved strategic significance as resistance units gained communication capabilities that enabled coordinated operations, while tactical information sharing improved defensive effectiveness and mutual support between isolated communities. Chapter 5. The Underground Telegraph. Min's communication system evolved into what resistance fighters called the Underground Telegraph, providing real-time information exchange that connected isolated villages and enabled coordination that had been impossible since conventional communication lines were severed. The underground telegraph utilized extensive tunnel networks that had been created by centuries of mining and cave formation, while Min's acoustic techniques transformed these natural passages into communication highways that crossed enemy territory without detection. Min established regular communication schedules that could provide routine information updates, while emergency protocols enabled immediate transmission of critical tactical information that required rapid coordination between resistance units. His telegraph system included relay stations operated by trained acoustic specialists who could receive, interpret, and retransmit messages while maintaining communication continuity across distances that exceeded individual transmission range. The underground telegraph achieved reliability that exceeded conventional communication methods while providing security that made enemy interception impossible through acoustic transmission techniques that operated outside normal intelligence gathering capabilities. Min's system included quality control procedures that could verify message accuracy, while error correction techniques ensured that tactical information reached its destination without corruption that might compromise operational effectiveness or personnel safety. The telegraph network enabled strategic planning that had been impossible during communication isolation, while coordinated resistance activities achieved tactical effectiveness that exceeded what individual village defense could accomplish through uncoordinated effort. Chapter 6. The Enemy Response. American forces began detecting unusual acoustic patterns in DMZ tunnel systems, while intelligence analysis attempted to understand the purpose and origin of systematic ricochet shooting that appeared to follow organized patterns rather than random combat activity. Enemy response included acoustic monitoring equipment that could detect ricochet patterns, while intelligence specialists attempted to decode the communication system that was enabling resistance coordination throughout areas under American operational control. Min adapted his techniques to counter enemy acoustic monitoring while developing transmission procedures that could evade detection by varying timing patterns, acoustic intensity, and tunnel routing that made systematic analysis more difficult. American countermeasures included attempts to block tunnel networks and disrupt acoustic transmission, while military operations targeted suspected communication nodes that were identified through intensive acoustic surveillance and pattern analysis. Min's counter-response included deception techniques that could create false acoustic patterns, while genuine communications were routed through alternate pathways that avoided areas under enemy surveillance and acoustic monitoring. The tactical adaptation required constant innovation as enemy countermeasures evolved, while Min developed increasingly sophisticated techniques for maintaining communication security despite intensive enemy efforts to disrupt the underground telegraph system. His adaptation techniques included multiple transmission pathways and redundant communication procedures, while the network's flexibility enabled continued operations despite enemy success in disrupting individual communication nodes or tunnel segments. Chapter 7. The Strategic Impact. Ming's underground telegraph system achieved strategic impact that exceeded tactical communication while enabling resistance coordination that affected major military operations throughout the DMZ region and surrounding areas. The communication network provided early warning capabilities that enabled resistance units to avoid enemy operations, while tactical coordination improved defensive effectiveness and reduced casualties among civilian populations in contested areas. Min's system enabled strategic planning that had been impossible during communication isolation, while coordinated resistance activities achieved operational impact that influenced American tactical decisions and resource allocation throughout the region. The Telegraph network provided intelligence gathering capabilities that exceeded what individual village observation could accomplish, while systematic information sharing created comprehensive tactical awareness that enabled effective resistance planning. Min's communication system influenced American operational planning, as intelligence analysis revealed that resistance coordination had improved significantly, while the underground telegraph provided capabilities that exceeded what conventional communication interception could counter. The strategic impact included resource allocation changes as American forces devoted increasing personnel and equipment to counter-communication operations, while the underground telegraph continued operating despite intensive enemy efforts to disrupt the system. His network achieved force multiplication effects as coordinated resistance activities created tactical challenges that exceeded what uncoordinated village defense could accomplish, while systematic information sharing improved operational effectiveness throughout the resistance network. Chapter 8: The Technical Mastery. Min's technical expertise in acoustic ballistics developed to levels that exceeded what conventional marksmanship training could accomplish, while his understanding of tunnel acoustics enabled precision communication that approached scientific accuracy. His mastery included mathematical calculations for optimal ricochet angles and bullet velocities, while acoustic analysis enabled precise control over sound patterns that could transmit complex information with minimal error rates and maximum transmission efficiency. Min developed specialized ammunition techniques that optimized acoustic characteristics, while his ricochet methods produced consistent sound patterns despite variations in tunnel conditions and environmental factors that might affect acoustic transmission quality. His technical innovations included timing devices that could coordinate multiple transmission sequences, while synchronization techniques enabled complex message protocols that exceeded what simple acoustic patterns could accomplish through basic communication methods. Min's acoustic expertise enabled real-time adjustment of transmission parameters, while environmental analysis allowed him to compensate for weather conditions and tunnel acoustics that might affect communication clarity and message accuracy. The technical mastery included diagnostic procedures that could identify transmission problems, while troubleshooting techniques enabled rapid correction of acoustic issues that might compromise communication effectiveness or operational security. His expertise influenced training programs that could teach acoustic communication techniques to personnel with varying levels of marksmanship ability, while standardized procedures ensured consistent communication quality throughout the expanding network. Chapter 9: The Legacy Network.
Min's underground telegraph system became a permanent communication infrastructure that continued operating after his personal involvement, while trained operators maintained the network and expanded its capabilities throughout the post-war period. The network's legacy included training programs that preserved acoustic communication techniques, while documentation ensured that future resistance activities could utilize tunnel communication methods that Min had developed and refined. Min established training schools that could teach acoustic communication to future generations, while his techniques were adapted for civilian use that provided emergency communication capabilities during natural disasters and infrastructure disruption. His legacy network included equipment caches and tunnel maintenance procedures that could sustain communication operations, while standard protocols ensured continued effectiveness despite personnel changes and operational modifications. The underground telegraph influenced modern military communication doctrine, while acoustic techniques developed by Min provided alternatives to electronic communication that could operate under conditions where conventional systems would fail. Min's innovation legacy included patents and technical documentation that preserved his acoustic communication methods, while engineering analysis provided scientific foundation for future development of tunnel-based communication systems. The network's continuation proved that individual innovation could create infrastructure that exceeded its original purpose, while Min's techniques influenced communication technology development that extended far beyond military applications and resistance activities. Chapter 10: The Final Transmission. Min's final personal involvement with the underground telegraph occurred when he transmitted strategic information that enabled coordinated resistance activities during major American operations, while his acoustic communication provided crucial tactical coordination that affected the operation's outcome. His final transmission included comprehensive tactical information about enemy movements and operational plans, while the underground telegraph enabled resistance coordination that exceeded what conventional intelligence gathering could provide through standard methods. Min's acoustic expertise enabled transmission of complex strategic information, while his final message demonstrated the underground telegraph's capabilities for coordinating major resistance activities that required precise timing and comprehensive tactical awareness. The final transmission achieved strategic success as resistance units received information that enabled effective coordination, while Min's communication system proved its value for major operations that required systematic information sharing and tactical synchronization. Min's personal involvement concluded when he transitioned from active operation to training and network management, while his acoustic communication techniques continued providing strategic advantages for resistance activities throughout the region.
His final operational transmission established the underground telegraph as a proven strategic communication system, while Min's expertise ensured that the network would continue operating with effectiveness that exceeded conventional communication capabilities. The transition marked the evolution of Min's innovation from personal expertise to institutional capability, while the underground telegraph became permanent infrastructure that continued serving communication requirements long after his active involvement ended. Epilogue: The echo of innovation. Phan Thi Minh developed acoustic communication techniques that connected isolated resistance units throughout hundreds of kilometers of enemy territory, while proving that individual innovation could create strategic capabilities that exceeded conventional military communication systems. His underground telegraph system demonstrated that precision marksmanship could be adapted for communication purposes, while tunnel networks provided secure transmission pathways that enemy forces couldn't intercept or disrupt through conventional countermeasures. Min's techniques influenced modern military communication doctrine, while acoustic methods provided alternatives to electronic systems that could operate under conditions where conventional communication would fail due to enemy interference or infrastructure disruption. The underground telegraph established precedents for innovative communication that utilized existing infrastructure, while Min's acoustic expertise created capabilities that exceeded what conventional military engineering could accomplish through standard development procedures. Modern military training includes analysis of Min's communication techniques, while acoustic communication methods continue providing backup capabilities for situations where electronic systems are unavailable or compromised by enemy action. Min's legacy includes technical documentation that preserved his acoustic communication innovations, while training programs ensure that tunnel communication techniques remain available for future military and civilian emergency communication requirements. Today, the underground telegraph serves as an example of how individual creativity can solve impossible communication challenges, while proving that innovation often emerges from desperate circumstances that require solutions exceeding conventional capabilities. His story demonstrates that military innovation frequently involves adapting existing skills for unexpected applications, while showing that precision marksmanship could be transformed into strategic communication capabilities that influenced major military operations. The sound shooter proved that communication could be achieved through any medium when conventional methods failed, while establishing that individual expertise could create infrastructure that served strategic purposes far beyond its original tactical application.